Alright everybody, today I am going to discuss a topic with you that may be very beneficial to you and change the way that you shoot video. So let's get started. Okay, so when you're recording video with the camera, you're either using SD cards, Cfexpress Type A or Cfexpress Type B, or CFast cards. CFast cards are kind of like being withered away. They're not being used as much anymore. It's mostly Cfexpress Type B and SD cards. Sony, however, uses Cfexpress Type A, which is very horrible, and I'll get into that in a minute. Okay. So to begin with, we all know that they cost a lot of money. If you want to get like an Angel Bird SD card that's 512 gigabytes, I believe you're looking at $500 to $600. That's the price range for 512 gigs. That's a half a terabyte, basically. Okay, so if you want to get a terabyte, you're looking close to $1,000 to $1,200 for SD cards. Cfexpress Type A the highest capacity that comes in is 160 gigabytes, and that is $500. Unbelievable. I would never ever buy one of those cards. It's not worth it. It's a rip-off. And also Cfexpress Type B, they're a little bit less, but they're still substantially more money than the SD cards. I believe maybe a 512 gigabyte Cfexpress Type B will run you $800, maybe something around that area. Okay, so now when I'm filming, I use an external recorder. There's a couple of ways that you can do to make your media storage a lot less. In other words, paying a lot less for ways to record your video on. Now, one of the ways, and the easiest way probably, is using the Atomos Ninja. It uses SSD drives. This is a 1 terabyte SSD drive, Western Digital Blue, and it costs me about $112 to $110, depending where you get it. Sometimes they're a little higher, sometimes they're a little lower. But I've never seen them too much over $110 at all. Right now it's priced, I'm looking at it, it's $111.95 for Western Digital Blue. And they're fast enough to record 4K 60 frames per second, no problem. If you're looking into 8K and all that stuff, you're going to have to use the Cfexpress Type B that, like the Canon does and stuff like that. However, this is cost effective because I can get this 1 terabyte SSD drive for about $111, $112 around there. And I plug it into my Ninja, my Atomos Ninja 5. I got a 5 Plus as well. I plug it into here and I record all my video footage on here. Very cost effective. And I do not use any SD cards I do not record internally because of the expense of the SD cards and Cfexpress type cards, so I don't do that. Now, if you must record a lot cheaply, in other words, if you want to record like 8K 30 frames per second or 6K 60 frames per second, there's a couple of cameras out there that do that. Sony FX30 and the FX3 will record 4K 60 frames per second, actually 120 frames per second. And in order to do that, you would have to use a pretty fast SSD drive, excuse me. This will probably do it. It should be fast enough, but I would actually go to the M.2 SSD drives. Now they're little cards, they're different, they don't plug into the Ninja that way. But if you wanted to record internally, because some cameras give you better benefits than the Ninja to record internally, like 8K, stuff like that. What you could do is you could go to this place called ZITAY. It's in China, and what it is, it's a Cfexpress, either type A or B, to SSD, which is M.2. And at one end, it's got a dummy card that goes into your camera. It's not really a media card, but all that information is just there to read off the camera, and it goes down the ribbon cable and into your M.2 SSD drive, and you record your media that way, and it's very fast. It's just as fast, if not faster, than the Cfexpress Type B cards. So that is one way you could do it. It's like $200 for one unit, and you can buy like a 4 terabyte M.2 SSD for like $400. Actually, that's a 1 terabyte for about like $200. You can get a 4 terabyte, I believe it's for $600 or so. But that's 4 terabytes. And you plug that into your camera, such as the Sony FX30 or the Canon R5 or the Canon R6, and you plug, or the Canon R5C as well. You plug that into your camera and it goes right into the SSD drive. It even has a little hole to screw it onto your rig on your camera, so it will hold it there and you can record your media to there. That's what I would suggest to do if you must record internally and don't want to use the Ninja, or if you don't have a Ninja, that would be the option for you. You could do that. You could record all your media to that, and it'd be a lot cost effective. Like I said, maybe $600 for 4 terabytes. 4 terabytes will take you a long way, a lot more than two 512 gigabyte Cfexpress Type B cards, and you're looking at quite a bit of money. I believe for 1 terabyte Cfexpress Type B is about $1,800. So look at weigh out the cost. You know, instead of buying those cards and having to spend a fortune, you can buy the adapter. It's like a converter, and you plug it into your camera and it goes into the M.2 SSD drive. That is the best way to go. The links are in the description below too, where you can purchase this. Now, it comes with a card reader. That's why it's $200. It comes with the card reader, and the reason why you have to use their card reader is because when you plug that dummy Cfexpress Type B into your original card reader that you use, that doesn't give it enough voltage to the SSD drive, so it's not going to work. You won't be able to get it up into your computer. So you use their card reader that will allow you to pull the data off the SSD drive. So take a look, go to the website, check it out, and I'm sure that you're going to be happy with what you see. You know, like I said, instead of spending thousands and thousands of dollars on media cards, you can do it this way. Now, SSD drives and SD cards and Cfexpress type cards, all those meteors are made by the same company. In other words, an SD card made by SanDisk. SanDisk also makes the SSD drives, you know. And for a 1 terabyte SSD drive, it's a little over $100. 1 terabyte in SD cards, then you're looking at, $500. Okay. Actually, it's $1,000 because it's for 512 gig. It's $500. So they're charging a lot more for the SD cards than the SSDs. Reason is the SSDs are very common. They go into just about every computer now, laptops, all computers. They're sold with SSD drives. They don't really use hard disk drives anymore. People only use those for backups because these are so much faster. So that brings the cost down. But however, to make an SSD, 1 terabyte SSD drive, costs about the same to manufacture a 1 terabyte SD card or Cfexpress Type B. About the same. And they're charging from 3 to 5 times as much for the SD cards. And I'm telling you the reason why I believe they're doing this is because camera owners have no other choice. Most people are not smart enough to do their research and find out that there's an adapter or anything like that. And so if they're going to record video with their cameras, they're going to have to buy those cards. They have no choice. So they're stuck. And they pay this outrageous amounts of money. I did my research, found all this stuff out, and found out that you don't need to buy any of those media cards at all. Just buy the SSD drives and record all your video from camera to that instead. This will drive down the prices when these companies are not selling SD and Cfexpress Type B or A cards. When they stop selling those, they're going to realize that people have gotten smart and don't want to pay these horrendous prices for the media. They're going to come down with the prices. They're going to have to, or they'll stop selling them. My guess is they'll just come down and be relatively the same as the SSD drives. So this is the way to drive the prices down. And like I said, the demand for those SD cards, people taking pictures and video and stuff like that, you know, they're using those SD cards, and they're paying a jumbo crap load of money for this, and people need to get smart. That's why I'm making this video, for you to see this video and understand you don't have to pay that money. You can just get a converter and record and take pictures to your SSD drives instead, not have to buy those SD cards. So this is what I would say is, do your research, look into the links that I showed you. You can buy one of those converters, start recording all your videos right onto the SSD, go down to your famous computer store or online and buy a nice M.2 SSD drive that's super fast, like I said. And also, one of the benefits of using SSD drives, whether it's M.2 or this 2.5 inch type, is that these are made for computers, and they need a lot of error correction and checking. Okay, so in other words, a lot of people is run into like taking pictures or video on their SD. That's why they like dual card slots on their cameras, because sometimes it fails and they go to get the pictures or videos off the card and it doesn't read it and it failed, so they get it off the other card, no problem. This don't happen ever with these SSD drives, because they're super fast, they're super error correction technology in there, more than the SD cards, because these go into computers, and they have to, because then Windows would get corrupted and all kinds of stuff like that. The computers would start crashing. So that's one of the benefits, is you're going to have error correction. Probably never have a failure of getting your pictures or video again. And that is something that you shouldn't have to worry about. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, you can click like. And if you want to see more videos like this and be able to stay tuned for anything else that I come up with, then click on subscribe and you'll be notified when I do come out with these videos. Thank you for watching.